The thing that your side by side made me really think about, and I want you, like, I want to talk about this kind of whole body of work I would say I've done I call it deeply feeling kids, right? Which these can be girls too. But to me, these kids, whenever they feel vulnerable, right? Which, yeah, something bad happened at school, or I feel frustrated, or I was surprised, even a good surprise, but I just didn't expect it. Vulnerability sits really close to shame because they feel things in such a way that it feels like so much. And for these types of kids, I always say we often approach kids with a front door strategy, which I think for you is like looking at them directly. Hey, I think you're upset that this thing happened at school. And it's kind of like looking at them. And for deeply feeling kids, it just feels like too much. They're actually so worried about what they'll see in your eye. They're overwhelmed, and then they just reject you. Right. And they're like, they put their hand over their ears even. Right. And for these kids, what we kind of have come up with is a whole thing I call side door strategies, where they still need someone in their house. They don't actually want to be alone. But if you use the front door, they're going to slam the door in your face. And then you think, oh, they don't want to talk. But actually, then they're just alone in their house, and they're also just as overwhelmed as anyone else. And all these side door strategies are very similar. Same thing, driving in the car. You will hear the amazing things when you're driving in the car. Your kid's lying in their bed and their head is in the pillow, and all of a sudden they're telling you a story, and you're just like, oh, I hope I don't ruin this moment. Just stay here. Just let it go. Right? Exactly. While distracted. Or even, and I'm so curious what you think about this, and maybe this is also related to fatherhood. I find for deeply feeling kids, one of the most powerful way that we can kind of enter into their house with them is actually by starting with a kind of vulnerable story about ourselves. Because in that way, we almost say to them, you're not so alone or bad or whatever, after all, because I've been there too. So maybe again, your son doesn't make the soccer team. And if you say, oh, are you upset? They're like, I'm not upset, whatever, right? Or something like that. It's just too, like you would say, like straight on coffee shop. Versus if I say to my kid, look, not right away, maybe the next day, look, I don't even think I ever told you. I don't know. I tried out for my Pop Warner team 4 times before I made it, or I made the team because everyone made it, but I didn't play for 4 seasons. And I don't know, I was just like, I felt really bad. And then you might even move on yourself. Like, oh, do you want a snack? Because you might just sense from them, like that's all they can titrate in that moment. But I do find with all my kids, deeply feeling or not, my daughter, my 2 sons, like a story from me